a CES wrap-up. This is Mac Voices. Mac Voices is supported by Take Control Books, one of the very best sources of clear, concise information on not only Apple's various operating systems, but also key Apple and third-party utilities and more. Visit TakeControlBooks.com and start your library today. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. A quick note about the Mac Voices live session you're going to see. We recorded this the week after CES was over, but it's only just as I'm getting started releasing the CES interviews. Rather than hold it and wait until the end, I thought it would be better to intersperse it here with some of the CES interviews and the regular Mac Voices content, so everything stays a little bit more current, and we stretch out the CES coverage just a little bit so you have more time to absorb it and research the products that are of interest to you. So you'll see this being done with several of the Mac Voices live sessions as we go forward, because we don't want things to get too far out of date, because we do tend to talk about current events on the live show and things maybe that aren't necessarily quite so current on the regular shows. So with that, let's let the panel do the talking. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're back after a week off for CES. I came home with a lot of great interviews. I also came home with a sinus infection, a cold, and whatever else is going on in there. So if I sound a little bit off, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably just a little less off than normal. I'm going to go around the table and see all who's here, but this is, in case you weren't sure, this is Mac Voices Live. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. YouTube.com/Mac Voices TV is where you can find us tonight and every Tuesday at that appointed hour. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, so we are going to just jump right in, go around the table, see who's here, and then take it from there. So it would only be appropriate that in the top left of my screen, starting off is Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Good to be here. I missed you and missed everybody last week, and I'm so glad we can find out what you found there at CES. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'll be anxious to hear what everybody else saw from a distance, because it's a different experience from a distance versus up close. Speaking of up close, the guy that I was up close with all week, because he was or is the Mac Voices videographer, trade show Sherpa, and contributor, Mr. Norbert Frasse. Norbert, great to see you. I think I just saw you, though, a couple of days ago?
Yeah, I think we spent, 15 hours a day for 4 days straight, just running around and getting our feet all tired everywhere.
More than just our feet.
Good times.
For good times. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Good to have you. Good to have you. Looking like he's being attacked by one of his pet Blue Jays, Mr. Eric Bolden is here. Eric, good to have you.
Yeah, I'm dodging hungry Blue Jays with all this cold weather. It's wild out there.
So I assume that it's presenting some unique opportunities for photography, given that they're a little more dependent on you for food.
Yeah, and they're all, trying to audition for the next Marvel movie. So
Well done. Well done.
Did you take that picture with an iPhone?
No. No, but it was processed on an iPad.
Okay.
That's almost the same thing.
Well, it is just close.
Yeah. As long as there's something in the Apple ecosystem that contributed, that's all we need. Ben Rathig is here. He's in the Apple ecosystem, and he's contributing tonight. Ben, good to have you.
Good to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing about all those transparent TVs at CES.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Jeff Gamet has arrived, and he's not transparent. Jeff, good to have you.
Chuck, it's always a treat to get to hang out with you. I know I say that a lot, but it's only because it's true. It's great to see you back.
Well, I appreciate it. Missed you guys last week, but it was just, it just is unrealistic to try to do a live show from CES. Both for schedule and fatigue reasons, both. Guy Serle is here, but as you may or may not be able to see on your screen, he apparently is having some issues, so we'll come back to him. And that means that Jim Ray is next and last at the moment. Jim, good to have you back as always.
I'm glad my video started working.
Yours did. Guy had his up for a little bit, but then there was an issue, and he said he's having some Bluetooth problems of some kind. So, hey, we'll see how it goes. So, CES 2024 is now in the books. And as Norbert said, we spent a lot of hours compressed into 4 days trying to see everything we could possibly see and talk to a lot of people. We did a bunch of interviews. A couple of them have just started now to drift into the Mac Voices feeds. We're going to drag them out a little bit. One thing, though, it looked like we lost Guy. Hopefully he'll be back. One thing I want to make sure we talked a little bit about, though, because talking to some other podcasters, some other journalists that are at the show, everybody sort of has a different take on the way they cover the show. And what Norbert and I try to do is we try to take you with us to the show, let you walk around the show floor and kind of look over our shoulder and see what it's like to walk up to a booth that you may or may not be familiar with and say, "Hi, tell me about your product." And get that quick elevator pitch, ask a few questions that you might ask of that particular exhibitor, and then move on. Because there's nothing more annoying for us or for the exhibitor to stand there and try to take 20 minutes worth of time, unless they want to give it. And there's some that absolutely they just want to give it. But we try to just, do a quick hit, let you know what we've seen, have the links in the show notes so that you can see it. Go to the website and check out more, get any additional information. The other thing that contributes to that, though, is that a lot of this stuff is not released yet. A lot of it is not even up on the website yet. So it's an interesting challenge to try to tell you about it and make sure that it's of interest to you so that maybe you'll remember and go back. Norbert, does that sound like a pretty fair assessment of the way we try to do it?
I think so. Most importantly, we have a plan. Each day that we get up, we have a place that we want to go and places that we want to hit. Of course, sometimes we just have to stop and in awe at some display that we see or something that seems out of the blue. And but overall, we kind of hit the show floor running each day, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning.
And the other thing that every show I think we evolve. We do things a little bit differently. This year, we tried to avoid some of the just walking through certain sections and seeing what was interesting. We tried to have our plan even tighter than before, and it yields, I think, better interviews, better things because we've done our homework. We've gone through the press releases that we get beforehand. We've tried to read as many exhibitor blurbs as we could. That inevitably means that we're not going to hit some things that you might be interested in, and there's going to be a definite bias toward things we're interested in. Hopefully there's enough overlap there that works.
Yeah, well, there's absolutely no way that you can show everything that's going on themselves on the floor or in the entire event. It overtakes the entire city. There's events, there's venues everywhere. So just trying to give everyone a good sampling of what's available and what we find interesting. And hopefully if we find it interesting, you'll find it interesting as well.
I think they said the last I saw the official numbers or the unaudited numbers. The audited numbers aren't out yet, but I think the unaudited numbers said 140,000 people and 1,200 exhibitors, something like that. Which,
about that.
Yeah. So what could you possibly do with that?
Is that all?
Yeah, is that all? Cute, Jim. You're going to come along and carry the bag next year.
I'm kind of serious. I would have thought it would have been more exhibitors than that. I'm kind of curious, Chuck. Did you find some exhibitors didn't want to take time to talk to you? As a past exhibitor myself, and that was in the days before there was such a thing as YouTubers. But I would have been thrilled at that. I was always very happy when any media came because I would figure, I figured that like during a Macworld, most we could possibly talk to was about 300 people. And if we got a multiplier of somebody walks up with a camera and they're going to expose what I say to, they could easily, one person with a camera could be as much as the whole week's worth of show. So, gosh, I would think for exhibitors, they would just be very eager to any kind of exposure like that.
And Norbert, help me out. I don't think anybody refused to talk to us. We do run into that challenge, and and Jeff, I want you in here because now you and I have talked about this for years. That you have the booth staffed with people that don't want to be on camera, that are uncomfortable be on camera, or that haven't been trained to media train. And so, inevitably, well, you have to wait for that guy over there while he's finishing that interview or that discussion.
Yeah, that makes sense because I'm talking as an owner of the business. And I could see an employee of some saying, this is just something that's going to be on tape that could get me fired.
Yeah. My experience was the pre-show stuff. Pepcom and CES Unveiled and Showstoppers, those events, they're targeted, focused exclusively on the media. And everyone that's at the booth is there and prepared to speak to the media and glad that we're all there. Right. And so it's like a well-oiled machine as much as that level of chaos can be a well-oiled machine. When you get to the showroom floor to talk to companies, there's a totally different thing happening. And you as the media, you are not the priority. The priority now becomes the buyers. And the companies will be very accommodating to the media, but like Chuck said, you may have to wait because the person or people that are authorized or qualified to speak with you as the media, that their time is now stretched way out over the show for the whole week, and like, well, I said, they're happy to accommodate you. The real priority there is not you at that point because you are not a buyer.
And Jeff, that's fair. Norbert, did we have anybody at any of the press events say, hey, wait a minute, I got to go find, or you have to wait for so-and-so?
No. I think everybody pretty much basically spoke with us. Sometimes they were a little apprehensive about being on camera. And once they started talking about their products, it was, they forgot about the camera and gave us a really good interview. But most of them, we didn't have not one person that said no. Everybody was accommodative to us, wanted to talk to us. Who would not want to talk to Chuck Joiner? Come on.
Well, there's one instance, and I'm not going to call it out specifically, but there was believe it or not, there were a couple government entities there. One in particular that I had targeted that I wanted to talk to. Went over, told the guy what we wanted, and it's like, no, we can't do anything on video. It's like, excuse me, you're at CES, there's video everywhere, and you don't have anybody here that's approved to talk to the media on the record, on camera. That was really shocking. So I'm hoping to get somebody that can and will at some point from that entity, because I think they have an interesting story to tell. But, that's just the way it is.
I think you have an excellent point, Chuck. What are they doing spending money on a trade show?
Well, Jim, that's sort of it from all the exhibitors. And again, I want to be fair that some of these are one person exhibitors. And so there is only one person to talk to, and they might hire, a temp just to be able to make sure there's somebody there to address other things. But at the end of the day, it feels like you have people that want to talk to you about your product. They want to give you coverage, and you don't. Even if you just gave somebody a script and said, "Look, here I can tell you about the product, but I can't answer any questions," that would at least get you partway there.
Chuck, my big annoyance, which I'm certain is still a thing, when you walk up to a booth at one of the media events or on the expo floor and you ask for their press kit and they say it's on our website, I hate that. Because you're at CES. There is no bandwidth anywhere. So when someone would say, oh, yeah, it's on our website, what I heard was, don't bother covering our product because we couldn't be bothered to bring the materials that you need to give us that coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, for anybody who has not been in a conference, you're having basically a ton of people in a little bit of space. That's going to use up every bit of cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity there is.
Jeff, that's a really interesting approach because you were covering things for TMO. I mean, Norbert and I have gotten to the point that we try to avoid paper at all costs.
Well, I didn't want paper. I want one of those little USB sticks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes.
Well, in
I know
2024, what would you do with a USB stick? You're going to be carrying a device that has a USB plug that you can plug it into?
Always do. Be prepared to connect to anything when you're at a conference.
Have a hub.
Yeah. When I show up at a conference, I can plug into a VGA projector if I need to.
Yeah. But walking around on the floor?
Yeah. I'll have everything I need. Because at some point I'm going back to the media lounge where I'm going to write, and then I can take that little USB stick, plug it into my adapter, and plug it into my computer.
And to that point, I bet it could cost these people $1,000 for every person they talk to be there.
Oh, are you kidding? That if you start factoring in food and lodging and
no, I mean every attendee, every person that they talk to, not every staff member.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying like every time they say hello, that could be $1,000 because they could be spending $250,000 and only talk to 500 people, and you can only talk to so many people. I mean, you look and you say, oh, well, there's 140,000 people there. You cannot talk to more than a tiny percentage of them. There's just only so many hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
well, hey, I want to make sure I introduce Guy Searle because he's back. He made it. Guy, good. Glad you got your connectivity fixed.
Oh my God! Everything just went kaflooey all at the same time. Audio, video, everything just like, nope, not working. You're screwed.
It knew you were coming on the show, and so therefore it said, nope, not tonight.
Yep. Upgraded Zoom, restarted the computer, went to continuity camera instead of my Sony. Still have the same microphone though, so some consistency.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So we sort of got off on that tangent, but I think it's important because inevitably somebody's going to say, Ben, why did you cover X, Y, and Z and you never got to the transparent TVs? And it's like, you know what? The reason that we don't go for some of the big things is, first of all, they're not on the market. Second, everybody sees them. And third, they're not likely to be something that you're going to be interested in on any kind of immediate basis. They're cool to look at. There's a lot of tech eye candy, let me be clear. But there's also just some things that are just so far outside of our price ranges. Like we never covered any of the auto stuff because the auto stuff is crazy. So it's interesting and you could kill a lot of time with it, but it's crazy. Hey, Webb Bixby even showed up. Webb, good to have you.
Mom said I can come out and play.
Cool.
I'm so glad you thought out from the game Saturday night.
Yeah, the cold game.
I watched that from the comfort of my couch in front of the fireplace. I was fine. Don't worry about me.
Discretion is the better part of valor. There you go.
That's it.
There you go. Oh, that's good. Well, we are just starting to get into some of what we saw, and want to know. I'm anxious to hear what Norbert took away from it because I'm still a little fuzzy. I mean, what we do is, as he said, is we go back to back to back to back, And so there's things that jump at you, a few things that jump out at you. But at least for me, going back and redoing the interviews, it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I really like that. So Norbert, I want to turn it over to you. What were some of the high points for you?
Some of the, like you said, you come back from the event and everything's kind of a blur. Was that day 1, day 3? Who knows what day it was? So I kind of took some time and jotted some notes down of what it is that I took from the event. And one of the things that I first noticed that this was probably the first time post-COVID that I saw the show floor go back to the way that it used to be before. I know we were there last year, but I think people were still a little bit more cautious on attending the event. But I think this year we saw the numbers kind of perk up again. The traffic was back to normal, pre-COVID levels. The amount of exhibitors and so forth was kind of back to normal. Some of the trends that I noted was a lot of Qi 2. There was a lot of talk about Qi 2, and our products have Qi 2, Qi 2, Qi 2. A lot of products had, they kind of skirted around the big press release that happened that Monday, right on the first day of CES, that Apple decided to put the press release for their Apple Vision Pro or Apple Vision, whatever they're calling it these days.
Vision Pro.
So everybody was talking about it, and but not really talking about it. I saw a lot of technology that had hand gestures involved, movements, things of that nature, headsets, types of that nature. So it's an up and coming thing, and just the amount. What's most impressive is the amount of brain capital that was there. Brain capital meaning that how different people are using technology differently to solve problems. That someone sees a problem and they figure out a way to use technology to solve it. How can you use your iPhone to help you with a mosquito bite? Well, if you go to the website today, there's an interview with a company that just does exactly that. So that stuff is just amazing to me, that you see all these products, and yes, it's all, like Chuck said, all eye candy, tech eye candy for all of us. But at the same time, they're trying to solve a problem. They're trying to figure out something that they found as an issue to them, and try to figure out how to use ones and zeros to get a resolution to that. So those are my big 3 takeaways.
The Qi 2 is a really good observation. Of course, AI.
Because I asked, AI had been quite dominant at the show as far as discussion.
Yeah, I mean, AI seems to be that they want to put it in everything, whether it fits in everything, whether it's actually truly doing anything, but they're certainly touting it as AI enhanced, AI enabled, AI powered, AI, whatever. So that was as expected. But how much of it is really making that much of a difference, we won't know until we actually get our hands on some of these products. How about from the outside? What were you guys seeing? Did you see any trends as you were seeing different CES coverages?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of the different things that came out, stood out. I'm sure drones were still a pretty dominant thing. I was just seeing a couple things, as specifically that DJI, very expensive drone that I noticed on the press releases, and that the robot lawnmower that mows. So I would tend to think you saw some of those kind of trends. And then, of course, the technology that I would look at a lot closer was with iPhone. The Belkin auto tracking stand was very, very interesting to me. I thought that was something. I'm sure you were seeing a lot of that kind of trends. And I had to know if you actually had the opportunity to see that new Clix case for the BlackBerry type of case with the keyboard, because that was all over the press during last week. So I'd be curious to know if you guys got to see it.
We did get to see it. There's definitely a lot of buzz around that little presenters. There's a line to talk to them. It
makes no sense.
It seems interesting. I'm not sure if it's a product for me, but it is, interesting.
Yeah, there is an interview with someone from Clicks coming. As one of the quick note on how we do this, we've never found a way to prioritize things. So what we do is we edit and release them in pretty much the order we shoot them. So that means that some of the best stuff is coming at the end. It means some of the best stuff is up front. It's all over the place. But that way nobody's slipping us a 20 and saying, "Hey, get mine first." We don't play that game. So
you'd make a lot more money if you did.
Well, yes, true, Jeff. But then you got to actually deliver it, and so that's why you won't see Clicks pop up tomorrow because it's just out of sync with us.
Well, you also have integrity and the trust of your audience. So not taking the 20 to boost someone higher on the list, right. That's a smart move.
Well, in fact, this year we made a point. We had a card that we distributed telling the exhibitors a little bit about us and answering the questions they always ask. Where can I see this? When can I see it? How soon can I see it? Right. That's always, because
that's really smart.
That little card was a big hit. It was like everybody was amazed by it.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to me because everybody's talking about CES. And so there's this big flood right now. But in a few weeks, it's already starting to die down. All that publicity that was overwhelming everyone, so you couldn't keep up. You'll see a steady stream of stuff come out from us, and hopefully it'll give you a chance to take a little more measured look at what we saw and what's there. Our Mac Voices Live CES wrap-up discussion continues in a future edition of Mac Voices. You'll get to hear the rest of the panel's commentary and their thoughts about CES and what we saw there and what you will be seeing as the interviews come out. I'm Chuck Joyner. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.